Hello, good evening, and welcome back to JACKOCAR. This is the Kia series, which means it's Tuesday night, and also that means you're joining me, Gareth Hall, in the commentary box, joined by Mr. Owen White. How are you doing, Owen?
Not too bad. This must be mad to be here a few weeks on the bounce now. I think I'm possibly getting back on form in terms of actually showing up to the commentary gigs that I sign up for.
Yeah, just looking, and was that 3 weeks in a row now? Three weeks in a row?
I think that's 3 weeks in a row. I think that's my best streak of the season so far.
Shameful. Absolutely
yeah, we're only
shameful.
on round 9, but hey, it's fine. Listen, I've been busy. My course is finished, so I should be around a bit more often. No more work to worry about.
And he's got no money either. So
and I've got no money, so I can't go out and get drunk on a... Well, I do get drunk quite often on Tuesday. Arsenal are playing tonight, and I'm going to have to be sober, unfortunately. So, yeah, I've got no money to even suffer through that. So.
Oh, well, I wouldn't force watch Arsenal-Chelsea on my worst enemy. So
It basically is just a nightmare for a match, that. For everyone involved.
We hope you're all enjoying yourselves. Had a good day. Welcome to Tuesday night, and welcome to Brazil. It is the Autodromo Jose Carlos Pache, named after Carlos Pache, an F1 driver in the 1970s. Sadly died in an air crash, but only picked up his only win in F1 at the Brazilian circuit. So it was renamed after him the year after. Built into the hills of Interlagos, not in a particularly nice area of Interlagos, but nonetheless, it's a very, very lovely circuit, a fan favourite normally, and you'll see inclines, declines that will unbalance the car if it's not properly set up. It's 4.3 kilometres, that's 2.6 miles, and actually features one of the longest pit lanes in F1. However, it isn't it doesn't take the most amount of time, because you can, once you get to the entry, or on the entry and on the exit, it's pretty much all down to putting the throttle down as soon as possible. So it's not like the likes of, say, Singapore, where you're crawling in at 35 miles an hour, and Silverstone equally. You can open it up a little bit on entry and exit. It's a full throttle for 62% a lap, and average at only 42 gear changes over a lap. So one of the lowest of the season. It's famed for changeable conditions, I've got written down here, and boy, don't we know about that. We've had rain in qualifying, we've had dry races. Of course, last season we had a wet race, we had dry qualifying, and Owen, we just had a brief chat just before we went live, and we said, by listening to what we said at the end of the stream last season, this race was the penultimate round before the Championship 5. We said it was one of the best races in Kia we'd ever seen, and well, you've gone back and said, yeah, it might have been. How high is that bar?
Well, I mean, it's a somewhat high bar. Obviously, the comparisons to Kia series is one that we can obviously keep making, because we are the Kia series. And it was basically, it was a fight for the lead, which went right down to the final corner, even though there was penalties involved. But they were fighting wheel to wheel. And then the fight for the last Championship 5 slot. So that's what was going on last season. However, I would much rather have the bar for last week be our sort of measurement, because it couldn't possibly be worse than last week in the Cup Series. I'd like to issue a public apology to Jake. Now, it's been a couple of days since I made you sit in commentary with me while racing and spinning a lot. Yeah, that's Jacko's fault, so we might give Jack a bit more stick today. But we've got a 15-car grid, so hopefully they'll give us something worth watching tonight.
I'd like to join you by giving a public appreciation to the fact that Jake was in the commentary box and had such a bad race, because it worked out perfectly for me ending up on the podium. But
yeah, I wasn't going to mention that bit, but fine.
Fastest member in team speed. Who said what? But
Here we go
still
again.
on top of Iceman. He can't touch me. 15 minutes 30 seconds in qualifying. Don't worry, it's not a quiet session. Everyone will get one flying lap, so you're allowed an out lap, fast lap, and an in lap. So that is what everyone will be doing, and the first one out will be out very, very shortly, and it'll be Marco Schneider, who is Mick Shoe 47. Your number 11 on that box will be coming out, and we've got a 16.
Drivers.
We finally do go.
They're pushing the boat out now.
We almost get a relatively decent contingent of drivers, and We've already had controversy in the chat as the Kia drivers have kicked off about the fact they don't like the Cup drivers dropping down to Kia to fill the numbers out because they're too scared that they're not getting good results and it's going to hurt them in the championship. Well, let's use the same logic for Cup. Let's kick out all the slow drivers that are going to cause trouble for all drivers in Cup.
Well,
then.
I think it's different for Cup because in Cup, you're not going to lose to a Kia driver. Realistically, are you? And if you lose to a Kia driver in a Cup Series, it's because you're having a bad race. Whereas you could be a Kia Series driver here, drive the best race of your life, and still lose because the Cup Series drivers are just naturally faster than you. I.e., Yuri, who is a Cup Series driver through and through. He's already advanced into the next round of the playoffs, and the playoffs haven't even started yet. That's where we're at. So, I can see where they're coming from, the Kia Series drivers. Which is why we're all campaigning for Yuri to be kicked out of this tier for next season. Even if he turns out to be terrible at F1 23, he's gone.
Yeah,
but,
absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's my 2 cents on
it. This is very much Yuri's last season in Kia. He's going to kick and scream, but it's not going to happen. I'm putting my foot down, and as the majority shareholder in JACKOCAR that Jacko isn't aware of. I floated it on the New York Stock Exchange and bought the shares. It cost me 16p per share, and I have 9 of them. But Yuri will be making his way up to Cup next season full time to join Leroy, his brother, who moved up last season. And it was Leroy that took pole position last time we were here last season, which was, as I said, round 12 before we went to the Championship 5. He did a 1:08.444, so that will be your benchmark for a decent time tonight. But however, the race 1 was taken by Quinn, with Matt Shepherd crossing line first, but losing out on a penalty. And in fact, that move was done with 2 corners left to go. He made the move at Young Hao at turn 12 on the last lap of the race, and Michel Goris MXI took 3rd position as well. So there was no Hasselager on the podium at all. Marco Schneider is missing his quali lap by the looks of it because he's still in the box. Don't think he's got a quali ban. So that's just a Marco missing that one, which is a bit of a, as Kim would say, a naughty. So we'll move over to Thomas Nevitt, and he's out after having a bit of a season to forget. I'm sure he won't mind me saying that. He tends to enjoy being told that he's driving around badly. He's like the opposite of a hype man. He prefers to be told that he's not doing very well than he is doing well. But up to the line to start his flying lap comes Thomas Nevitt. And so what we'll do is we'll go on board with the Scotsman and we'll take a lap around this Autodromo Carlos Pache. Now down into turn 1 and turn 2, the Senna S's use a little bit of the inside curb. Now you can roll the car out almost out to the exit, and there you go, straight onto the first hero zone of the lap, down through the Curva del Sol onto the Retta Aposta into turn 4. And of course, if you're any other driver, you'll take that corner normally. If you're Max Verstappen, you'll use about 3 or 4 miles of runoff through turn 5. Now up into Ferradura at turn 6 and turn 7. Keep the throttle pinned for as long as you can, turning it into turn 8. Now down into the Pinarino at turn 9, a very long off camber hairpin as you flick up towards turn 10. Slowing it down for the Bico to Pato at around 72 kilometres an hour, spending down towards Magulio at turn 11. Keep the throttle pinned all the way down till you get to the braking point at Juncal, and now it's the climb up the hill through the Subida des Boxes, up past the grandstands on the right hand side, hugging the inside line, open up the corner, open up the throttle and up to the line. Thomas Nevitt will start off qualifying with a 1:0.10, what's a 1:09.983.
I wonder if any of the drivers here are also beta testing for the new F1 game. Obviously, according to Steam, comes out in just over a month. Because I think if you have people, say in the chase or something, or even in the playoffs, who are sat playing F1 23 all day, that may pose a bit of a distraction. Because from what I can hear, it sort of plays a bit differently. And it's just something to consider when people are on their qualifying laps. Because it happens to us, if you've ever been on an F1 beta, going back to the current game after playing the new one is literally like going from a Gran Turismo to F1. It's completely different. And it's always something I'm going to have to bring up every week. because it can make a difference. As Waste gets to the bottom of the hill, the last braking zone of the track, bit of a slippery exit for him, but it was not horrendous. And full throttle all the way to the start finish line. Stay tight to the inside, don't cut the white line, though, of course, on the way to the checkered flag or to the finish line. A 108.9, not too bad.
Not a bad lap there from Wace, of course, finished on the podium in Imola. Thought he'd won the race, but was given a 5-second time penalty, quite rightly by the game, because he effectively went as soon as the safety or the leading car could go. He just overtook him and took a penalty.
He went at the restart line, not at the finish line.
Yes, not allowed to do that, my friend.
Which is obviously where he got confused. But I suppose he knows that for this week. He knows he's also got the pace, so hopefully it doesn't dampen his spirits too much as he finds himself in the chase. I mean, being in the chase with the pace he knows he has now, maybe not the worst situation in the world to find yourself in, as long as you top that chase, of course, as Keenan comes across the line with a 108.6, a new fastest time.
Yep, Kingen, winner here, round 11, season 3, so no stranger to the top step. And Robin Bordenau, Rageman, who really should be Championship 5 bound, but has had a bit of a stop-start season. He tends to be either up there or, well, running around without a front wing. So what can Robin do here in the first race of the playoffs? Of course, we've got plenty of drivers running the chase and plenty running in the playoffs. We will go through the runners and riders very, very shortly. Just to go back to actually to what you were saying previously about the open or the closed beta, I should say. Is I think it's just been confirmed, or at least Iceman put it in the speech out, that it's June 16th.
16th,
that it does come out.
It's very early, isn't it?
Yeah, well, it is. It's not going to give us much of a break, is it?
But it means, because the Cup Series ends on the 1st of June. So it sort of lines up for us quite well, that though, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, if you don't enjoy sort of summer evenings without sitting in front of a computer game.
That's a good point, actually. I forget that minor point, yes.
Yeah, as Rageman goes P3, we've now got Matt Shepherd out on a lap and Harry Collier as well. Harry Collier is making his way up past. But yeah, just
you're older than me.
I know, tell me about it.
A lot older.
And getting older even still. But Harry Collier up to the line. Can he beat the 108.6? It looks like it's going to be slightly slow. It's going to 110.3, goes slowest of all so far. But like handling, yeah, just to go back to what you were saying about the handling. I mean, we almost had like a handling model released for this game that it was out for a bit, and then esports went, oh, we don't like that, and so they completely changed the handling model. So I wouldn't, even if you're playing the beta, expect it to be the same, because as soon as they give it to all the sweats and the TT losers, they'll end up going, oh, we don't like the fact that apparently no assist is a lot easier, so the guys that are on medium should be dropping down to no assists, and full should be dropping down to medium. So perhaps we'll see a whole change. Will that benefit some? Will it make it slightly worse? We will find out. I'm sure co-passers will find some sort of way to make it harder for themselves. Matt Shepherd to the line, 109.534 puts him currently P4.
Right, so, by the way, I don't know if we've not mentioned it, but there are no jokers tonight, so everyone is going to be...
there's 16 of them, Owen.
Very funny. Haha. That's one of the few ones that just doesn't make me laugh. You've lost your touch. You've actually lost your touch, so that is pathetic. As Rico heads around and comes through the middle sector. I'm not laughing at his joke, I'm just laughing at how... I'm baffled. That's what I am. I'm just baffled. As Rico comes up towards the line. Looked a little bit slow in the middle sector, so it's not going to be right at the top, but we'll go P3, so not too bad. Now say something good.
Something good. Speed Newgarden is in for, or he's turning down lap and he's into the box. So Matt Roseman deciding against it. Let's go over to Matt Lester. He is making his way around up the final bend, and he's got a Mr. Blobby livery on. As he's gone for the pink and yellow. I quite like this. I'm a big fan of colour. As Owen, you're a big fan of red and yellow. How about red and yellow? How about yellow and pink together?
I'm more interested, obviously, in the onboard shot. It sort of ends up blending quite nicely into like a sort of smoothie-ish like colour. I kind of like this, you know. It sticks out.
Mellow banana colour. Let's go. It's almost that's like a paint style that you'd get in home base, isn't it? Like, and
oh yeah.
But
no, you're right.
I do. I do like it. This is up there for. This is going to match Matt Shepard's for me for the season. I do like the PNC Bank.
Magnolia. That's what it is. It's Magnolia.
Oh, don't say that. It's like the worst possible.
It is, though, isn't it? Look at it. Look at it.
Every university hall and rental house ever, just Magnolia everywhere. But yeah, I know.
I'm looking at it.
As across the grass
Leslie
goes.
by the looks of it, because he's off the road.
He's added a bit of green to that Magnolia as the grass and the mud has kicked up. But well, that's going to have cost him potentially a place in the top 6, because he's going to come up to the line and it's going to go well past the 108s. It's 109, 110. Oh, Leslie, a 110.069 has put him down 0.3 of a second ahead of Harry Collier behind Thomas Nevitt.
Right, here is Bazza then. Worth pointing out that we are into the playoff drivers now. Matt Lester 6 points clear of the drop zone. This man, Bazza, will be in that drop zone. Only a point off Jacko, but it is worth pointing out. The elimination race will be next time out, so this is just to sort of bank points, but it is worth pointing out where everyone is. I'm sure Bazza will be well aware of where he is. And P6 on the grid for now, not the end of the world.
Yeah, just looking at lap times.
Go on. It's Kaya. Kaya tells me that Gareth is washed, and you know what? I fully agree.
I mean, but there's never been a truer word spoken, is there? Where are you, Kaya? What happened to you? Were you?
Yeah, he lives in my DMs now, apparently.
Does he? He lives in plenty of DMs. I think that's the reason why he's not sitting on the grid. But Michelle Goris.
Maybe that's why he kept crashing all the time.
That's true. Yeah, spent too much time on his phone and not enough time looking at the screen.
Oh dear.
Michelle Goris on a lap.
He's changed it.
You don't like. Yeah, he's gone from his. Well, he went to a livery that you didn't like last week.
No, I didn't understand what it was for, but once I was given the context, I thought it was all right.
Well, the King's Day one, but
yeah. No, I mean, it's not a bad livery, but I just, you know what I mean. When you fall in love with something and it then just changes completely.
I do think this would have worked a little bit nicer if the black was gloss rather than the matte. I think that.
Yeah, I agree with that. But
he's got Jacko just behind him, who's invalidated his lap. But they're both on. I mean, how's that happened? Because you've got Michelle, Jacko's going to invalidate, but they were literally within 50 metres of each other. Jacko was getting a toe up the hill, so if he'd got that lap in, that would have been lovely for him. But a pair of them, as Michelle Goris goes fastest of all, 108.425, are now done, which means we've got Jess out on circuit, and Jess, who is just slowly chugging along like she always does when it comes to both Kia and Cup, just does that thing. It's like the antithesis of racing, isn't it? We always tell her that she needs to get her elbows out and start getting involved in the fight, and she doesn't. She'll just slowly just collect these 5th, 6th, 7th place finishes, and now we find ourselves in the playoffs and staring at a potential championship 5 for the first time. But up to the line very, very shortly for Jess, as it looks as though can she beat her last time that when we were here, of course last time in Kia, it would have been I've got it written down for somewhere. For Jess it was slow. It was a 109.9, so she's done a 109.3. There you go. It takes 0.6 of a second off her last time, so not too bad for Jess. P6 for her.
Here comes Quinn, who is coming through the final braking zone at the moment. I mean, all these laps are a bit pointless, really, aren't they? Because we know what's coming next as Quinn engages his DRS and hugs that inside line right up to the line and will go second fastest. But, well, he started his lap only a few seconds ago as well, so we'll get to see 2 sectors of Yuri's pole position lap as he climbs up the hill. Although his ERS is completely drained. I wonder if he's kept hot lap on his out lap.
Yeah, he's done a Kaya, isn't he? He's put his hot lap on, and he's not got much left, and that's not going to help you when you're heading up the hill through Young Cow. But well, it is disgusting, really, that he's just stat padding.
Watch him tick pole by 2 seconds anyway.
Well, If he is, he's going to make it an all-Dutch front row with Michel Goris once again. These two have been the kings of qualifying all season long. Uses the inside curb. What can he do? He's got no battery left, so I think this is going to hurt him up to the line. It's not going to be pole.
Oh, it does.
It's going to be fifth position, and he's dropped down behind Wace as well. So that's an awful qualifying lap from Yuri. Should be ashamed of himself.
Yeah.
But GG's to Michel.
On Speed's name that.
It does, and I for one would put forward a vote of possible leadership challenge. We'll see. Just putting the ideas out there, and I, of course, as the fastest member of Team Speed, would quite happily put my hand up to lead the team into a new and better future. Michel Goris takes pole position ahead of the guy in second position. Kingen in third with Wace in fourth. Yuri in fifth with Rico. A good qualifying lap for him in sixth position. Robin Borden in seventh with Jess in eighth. Matt Shepard ninth. Bazza rounds out the top 10. 3 more timed laps were set. Thomas Devitt, Matt Lester and Harry Collier. And, you've got one absolute loser in 14th position of Jack Ricketts, Speed Newgarden, who had a bit of a shocker as well, and Mick Schumacher, Mark Strider, who never made it out of the box.
If you're starting a political career with this whole Team Speed stuff, you can join what's it Kanan, who had a apparent political career that you definitely didn't make up.
No, do you know there's been calls for the driver profiles to make a return, and what I will do.
You were saying I didn't like them earlier, but some of them are clearly stuck in my head.
It's true. What I will do is I'll make a promise to everyone is that they will come back for the Championship 5, and I will make a big deal out of them, and we'll come up with something slightly elaborate. We'll find out. I'll put some thought into them this time rather than just my completely inane and random thoughts that come to me on a Tuesday afternoon.
Perhaps we'll maybe say something true. some crazy concept like that. Perhaps
I have once said something true in a driver profile. About the fact that
their name doesn't count, Gareth.
Oh, that is true, I suppose. I've never said anything truthful. That is true. Michel Goris, however, does take pole position ahead of Quinn. Kingen in P3, Wace a good P4 for him, and then the Championship 5 winner in 5th position. Well done to Michel. He'll be happy with that one, especially with Yuri a couple of places down. A little bit of work to do for the Dutchman / Belgian, and everyone watching along, good to have you here. Make sure you like the stream. It does help out. I'm going to ask you every single time. I will always want more views on Kia than I do on Cup, because we need it.
We do need it. Unfortunately, you're missing the better racing here, as we shall prove in a minute. I'm going to need you to fill time for 2 seconds.
Oh, he's going to go off and get an alcoholic drink. That's what he's doing. I'd just like to see we've got 6. So what is that? 2, 3. Everyone standing outside their garage. There's 3 drivers per garage standing in a T pose. So maybe we're going for an endurance race per car with 3 drivers per car. That's new. I've not seen that one before. But sure, why not? You always like to see a bug that you've never seen before. And
never seen before.
Look at have you never seen that one before?
I point it out every week, mate.
Do you? I've never seen that one. I clearly don't pay attention.
Do you not pay attention to me?
No, I don't listen to a word you're saying.
Jeez, that's just... Team Speed do not elect this fraud. He doesn't even notice his own co-commentator. Do you reckon he's going to listen to any of you?
It's the issue of course, my wife is, Irish. She's not from the north, but when I hear an Irish accent, I just have to tone it out now. That's what it is. I blame it on that. I just the volume goes down. I just hear white noise in my head. But
that's a loving marriage I've ever heard of one.
She watches these as well, so I'm sure I'll get the sound of something being thrown against the studio room door in a second.
This is the last time you'll hear Gareth in a JACKOCAR Kia Series stream. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, as I end my retirement forcibly. But 36 laps of this one. Owen, you endured 36 laps of this last Thursday. And for maybe around about 4 of them, it was slightly exciting. Overcast, we've got slightly overcast weather here. Doesn't look as though it's raining anytime soon. But as we move down to the tyre choices for everyone, mandatory 2-stop for everyone. There are no jokers, as you said earlier, no jokers tonight, so everyone will be doing 2 stops. Only Marco Schneider and Harry Collier have elected to start on the medium tyre and run slightly longer in their first stint.
Yes, I mean, that's obviously them going out there and looking to do, I suppose, 2 soft stints at the end, the guys who are starting on the mediums. Perhaps maybe they've watched the Cup Series race as well and know that there was no safety cars until quite late on. And maybe they're going to bank on maybe a middle of the race safety car or something. That's where they'd get helped in that. But I do think actually starting on softs, getting them out of the way early on, is probably the better option. But we'll see what happens. Obviously, with the whole first top 12 being on soft, we don't actually often see that this season. So you'll maybe have less sort of chaos on the start because there's less, say, medium tyres in the top 5. Or we've even seen hard tyres be used sometimes. So I worry that'll give us a more routine start. But at the same time, someone might miss a breaking point somewhere. So we'll see.
Oh, absolutely. This is Kia. I'm expecting at least 4 cars to be retired by the end of the first lap. New Garden, Matt Roseman says he forgot to go out at his time slot. Oh, well, that's what happens with the elderly. Unfortunately, they forget things. But he'll be starting from P15. Kingan goes along in his grid slot. As we're about to go green here for the first round of the playoffs as part of the Kia Series. JACKOCAR is back once again, and it's the playoffs. Who is going to punch their name into the next round? Who is going to start leading the way in the chase? And we're off and underway. It's a good getaway from the pole system. Michel Goris alongside him goes Quinn, but Kingan already down the inside. He's trying to make it 3 wide. Wace equally going with him, but Kingan gets up in P2. Wace into P3. Quinn has been relegated already down to P4 and has Yuri swarming around the back of him. And Yuri, in fact, down the inside, and he's going to try and get the move done on not 1 but 2 as they're 3 wide now down into turn 4.
That is a horrifying accident at the back of the field involving Lesty, Thomas Nevitt and Baza. That's reminiscent of something I've seen before. I think it happened actually in ILR. I want to say back in the day, ILR 5. It was a wet race here and there was a multi-car pile-up on that back straight. Sadly, it does wipe 3 cars completely out of it. And I think Quinn will be quite pleased that he got himself past Wace before that safety car came out, because he was being knocked about all the way through that turn 1-2 section. I'm surprised he didn't actually end up going round, but yeah, that was mental. That
I didn't see any of that, unfortunately. So you'll have to describe it. But I did say we'd lose 4 cars by the end of the first lap. We've lost 3.
Close enough.
Yeah, so that must have been a big crash to take out 3 cars. Unfortunately for Matt Lester, the man that came in 4th in the standings with 6 playoff points, that's the end of his race. Bazra as well, already under the cut-off to make it through to the next round. He was -1, of course, to Jacko, with 3 corners done. He's going into what is going to be a very, very nervous next week to keep himself in the playoff hunt.
Yeah, looking at that crash then, basically what it looks like has happened is someone has just been on the curb at turn 3 and they've lost it. And at that point, you sort of end up in the middle of the track, people collect you. And as Lesty said, he had no chance in that. So I guess he's one of the sort of innocent bystanders who just ends up collecting the car that's lost it. So that appears to be what's gone on there. But yeah, shame to see cars wiped out so early. But well, I suppose it helps those medium runners get up. I mean, Marco Schneider's moved up way up the grid. And have you seen his livery this week? This here, obviously with Michel Goris not having a livery that I like as much as his previous one, this from Marco Schneider is absolutely gorgeous. That there is just, that is perfect. Do not crash this thing, I am begging you.
This is, he did say it, it's the 2005 McLaren Mercedes V10.
I wouldn't call it a 2005, but it's got too much Vodafone red on it to be a 2005.
I mean,
if he changes his mind and says 2007, then it's
this is
11
where
out of 10 every, but right now
your
it's only a 10 out of 10.
this is where your youth photographic memory comes in, as I can barely remember what cars looked like last season, let alone in 2005.
Yeah.
I can remember what cars looked like in 1994, and then as soon as we get to about 2000 and I'd say 2007 to 2015, I have complete memory loss for anyone who drove an F1 and what any of the cars looked like. I could list you all the 90s and the early 2000s, but then then F1 got boring. I blame Fernando Alonso for many things.
But you can't even remember the 2007 car, one of the most exciting seasons of all time, of which this particular car managed to bottle both championships in very creative ways.
I mean, I can vaguely remember like how seasons played out, but I wouldn't be able to tell you like who won races or like.
Wow.
Yeah.
That could be a fun game for safety car periods.
That is where you, what happened here? I could tell you what happened in the 1993 Argentinian Grand Prix.
I wouldn't know. It's before my time. I bet that's probably your prime though. That.
Oh yeah, I was in my early 40s then. Yeah. But lap 3 of 36 here in Brazil. Do the lights on the safety car go out? Yes, they do. So Michel Goris will lead the pack away and will lead the restart, with Kingen having made a fantastic start in P2. Quinn and Wace were side by side. I think Wace, as you say, will be slightly disappointed about the fact that it seems Quinn was able to re-jump him going up into turn 4. But, well, Michel can now effectively, with the safety car in the pit lane, he can now go any time from the pit lane detection, I believe it is, as we're coming up to the line very, very shortly. So any time from now, we'll see Michel Goris get on the throttle, and off we go, and it's a good getaway. Completely caught King and napping there, and behind they're already scattering 3 wide because Matt Shepard's had a shocker. It's moved up. Both Wace and Rico's had a good move as well. Jacko drops down behind Rageman, but Wace up ahead of Yuri. Matt Shepard is Rageman is side by side with Rico as the pair of them go around the Curva del Sol, and they're still side by side, making their way down the Retta Aposta in towards turn 4. Who's going to have this one? It looks as though Rageman's going to run across, snap across the nose of Wasabi of Rico, and hold the position.
So, I'm wondering if Yuri may have picked up a warning or something on that restart, because basically to avoid causing a pile-up, he actually had to go completely off the road on that pit lane entry, because he clearly, whatever happened there, the front couple of guys got their restart sorted, and the rest just packed up on each other. It was like Mugello if they all could avoid each other, but it's the same sort of closing speed where they all just sort of ended up coming together. It was a weird one, that. But yeah, Yuri lucky not to actually have anything worse happen to him, as we see. Is that moving into the pit lane for pretty much all of them on softs, I would have thought. But Wace. That'll be a warning for him surely as well, wouldn't it?
That was excellent.
Why he's done that.
I really enjoyed that.
Though. Because if you're on the soft compound tires, I suppose there's always the risk of you stacking, I suppose, but you pick, don't you? Let's see, I don't think anyone's even needing to stack in all this, but yeah, okay.
Well, tyres, the softs can last around about 8 laps here, as Harry Collier bins it from 5th position.
Through turn 3 again. It's Marcus Schneider. I think maybe he has spun in panic, because Harry Collier was just in front of him, smashing himself out of the race, but that has just meant that everyone who pitted there has been given a fantastic advantage, because as we'll keep saying every week, for those of you who watch Cup and Kia, the pitting under safety car rule isn't a thing here. So both of these, so all these guys, the top 5, will still have to make 2 green flag pit stops. There's nothing stopping you pitting at this phase, but it's not going to count, basically, for your total.
Yeah, so just the 4 of them, Kingen, Wace, Matt Shepard and Jacko, who made the faux pas of not coming in. You can see that yellow dot on the mini-map in your bottom right hand of your screen will indicate that there is a safety car. There's not a yellow car just parked up before we get to turn 4, but that could quite easily happen as well. Into the box does come Wace this time around. He's actually got it right this time, because that did make me laugh, as he was following Quinn I think he thought that Quinn was going to continue going around, and Quinn dives into the box, and Waste suddenly realises that he's completely on the wrong side of the circuit and has to cut across, and would have got at least a warning for that. And he goes on to a set of hard tyres.
I don't get that.
No, I don't get that either. That's
Is that wasting a set of tyres? But why would you want to waste? Why would you want to waste tyres though at this stage? It's not like he's doing it just to use a different compound of tyre and move back to something else, is it?
He has jumped Quinn in the safety car, so he's at least he's made up a position. But yeah, that's an interesting move to go on to the hard tyres.
They've just done this to confuse the Scarf. I mean, I get. Because the thing is, right, I suppose you would have been at the front of the pack. I'd rather be at the front of the pack than in the middle of the pack, knowing I still have to make another couple of pit stops.
Yeah.
It was Marcus Schneider who spun first, actually, and Harry Collier had to swerve and avoid him. So that's what happened there for that crash. And it's the same, actually, as basically the lap one, because Baz spun, and Thomas never went in, and Leslie collected. So that turn free's proven a real hot spot. So look out for Waste on hard compound tyres for that. Another reason why I'm wondering why he's on them, because if you're wasting tyres or anything like that, the hard compound tyres on a restart, they're going to be frozen solid.
Yeah, and the issue for the hards is that, I mean, they are a lovely race tyre around here. They take a couple of laps to get into the groove, but once you're in them, they just feel really nice to drive on. However, they are incredibly slow. They are very, very slow. If you saw myself in the cup race last week running on the hard tyres, that I was effectively losing around about 0.8 of a second to the guys around me every single lap, to the point where they had made a pit stop on me by the time that the safety car came out. And then as soon as I went onto the soft tyres, I was matching the lap times of the guys around me. So it's a tyre that's very, very easy to run on. However, you're not very fast at all. And Waste going onto it very early, I imagine, to try and get long into this one. But of course, that's not a mandatory stop. So he's still going to have to do 2 more stops, I'd imagine, onto soft tyres. I know that the VSC came out for a little bit and then it went safety car. So we will need to check some JACKOCAR on when the safety car came out with a number of the drivers coming in, because
let's have a look at that. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, it would definitely went to VSC. It was on the LED boards. It was VSC for a while, and then the safety car came out. So because we've had Jacko in and a couple of the others in.
No, it was full safety car when they pitted.
Okay,
so they've made a conscious decision to do that.
So that relieves Kingen as the only one left on the softs from the start. Marco Schneider in P2, who's already been for a spin, taken Harry Collier out of the race, and he's still in P2. So not the end of the world for Marco. Michel Goris, what can he do from P3? But up to the line very, very shortly. So any time from now for Kingen to go. Who's going to get the best restart? Waiting. Still waiting. It's a long wait here for Kingen to get this going. And he's gone, and it's a good getaway. He's managed to get the jump on the guys behind us. We're already trying to figure out positions between both Michel Goris, Marco Schneider. Waste and Quinn are side by side as they go down. And Quinn's around. Gets tagged on the outside by Waste. That was just, unfortunately, just rubbish game contact physics, but that knocks Quinn down to the back of the grid at P12, but not the end of the world. Of course, everyone picks up points from here if they can get to the end. Mick Schumacher holding on to P2, Marco Schneider, Waste, Yuri and Matt Shepard for company. Yuri's trying to go down the inside of Waste, going up the hill in towards the Ferradura. Can't quite get the move done. Is he going to send it into the hairpin at turn 8?
No. Michel Goris, he's caught between a rock and a hard place, because Marco Schneider is so slow. He doesn't want to have Waste overtaking him, because he's the buffer to Yuri. So that's why he's flying up the inside. Now, that's a 2-car buffer he's got between himself and his main rival at the moment. So good stuff there from Michel Goris not to get flustered there.
As Matt Shepard goes up the inside of Yuri as well, and as you say, his Waste clears Marco Schneider, and he now gets up ahead of him, but Marco's trying to come back at him straight away. He goes off the line. He's moving around the circuit, cuts right across the front of the guys in front. Surely he's going to get a penalty. Yeah, it does. Goes way too fast into that and gets 5 seconds. So does Jacko.
What was Matt Shepard doing? That was so far back. I think he was trying to overtake Waste, was he assuming that those hard compound tyres weren't maybe best suited? He didn't want to be stuck behind him, but throwing it up the inside of a car you've got no chance of overtaking, that's not the way to do it. And lucky to still be in the race.
Yeah, that same contact just turns the guy on the inside round 9 times out of 10 and promotes Yuri now up into P4. He can chase down Waste. Waste has done well on these hard tyres to get them up to temperature. It's all about preservation for him now. Kingan, 1.4 seconds, so he's jumped out ahead of DRS range for when it gets activated. We haven't seen it so far, even though we're on lap 9. Michel Goris 1.3 seconds behind. He has made a stop onto the medium tyres, but Kingham will be coming in shortly, I'd imagine. The tyres around here, especially softs, last around about 8 to 10 laps as Waste goes wide on the exit of Young Hao, and that's going to allow Yuri a sniff at the position. Is he going to use a bit of battery? He is, so he's on the button. He's down to around about 30%. And yeah, as you say, without DRS, you kind of need that boost of DRS. Yuri down the inside.
That's just not the way to do it, because he could have just waited for DRS and not wasted a battery on the main straight, because he knows he's got the better tyres for the corner exit. You know, and I know Waste has DRS at the minute, but he's not going to have it for long. Because you would imagine when Michel Goris gets to the back of Kanan, which he will on this lap, he'll get DRS and there's a chance of maybe pulling away. I just wouldn't waste ERS at this stage.
No,
because the track will open up. Give it a couple laps. Just don't. You've got 26 laps in this race left. If there's no more safety car, that's Yuri just blowing the ERS early.
Yeah, especially...
Look at Michel Goris. He's got so much left because he knows he can just be patient with it.
40% for Yuri already, so that's within... Well, we've not even done a third of the race so far, and he's taken off 60% of his battery that you really do need if he's going to hopefully catch up, as we've got a yellow flag for Robin Board. He was having a good race up behind Yuri, but he's lost it on the exit.
Damn it, don't spin again. You've been in front of the traffic there. That was well. Oh, he has spun. Oh, for goodness sake. As Kanan comes into the pits, Rageman is now at the back. Bar Jacko and Marcus Schneider, but they might well catch him in a minute because he's killed his tyres here.
There's Rico and Newgarden swap position for P4 and P5. Jess sitting just behind the pair of them, and a recovering Quinn starting to close back in with Matt Shepherd. Equally, the two spinners on the restart lap and the one afterwards are down in 7th and 8th position. Where does Rageman come out in comparison to Kingan? Kingan's exiting the pit lane now, and he's going to come up behind Robin Bordeaux, who had that spin on that last lap. So back up to the front. Yuri closing in on Waste, and really does need to clear him on these hard tyres because he needs to use, especially this early part of the stint, to break away from Waste, because Waste has seemingly got some decent pace on these hard tyres, but Yuri using battery and seemingly struggling to get past the Welshman as he's making his way up through Young Cow now. What does he do? Does he use a little bit more battery? He's made his way back up to around about 50%. He's going to use DRS for sure because Waste doesn't have any, and does he even use any battery? He's not on the button yet. He might need a little bit of a squeeze here to get the move done in around the outside, because Waste is going to come back at him, but Yuri's going to have the inside line and takes the position.
See, that's what he should have done before, but obviously this is where you use the ERS to then make sure you keep the place on the back straight, which I think he will do, because he's got the better grip on the tyres, and so at this point Waste, I think, has to give it up, but he's holding on and eventually does take the Verstappen line and
Classic
gets out
Dutchman.
of it. Yeah, not a surprise, is it?
Just to note as well, if Waste is thinking long term, well, he's used all his battery in defending from Yuri.
Yes.
Which is not the smart thing to do in this situation. If that was the case, Yuri was always going to pass him. On those tyres, you're always going to get... The guy on the mediums is always going to get past. Unless you're like of superhuman speed, you might as well have just let Yuri go and then sit with him rather than spend 2 or 3 laps using battery. Because now, Yuri can effectively just naturally and gradually pull away using the tyre life, and Waste is going to find himself struggling to recover energy around here because it's not a track that really brings back a lot of battery because there's not too many heavy braking points. So a little bit of no man's land for the next few laps, I'd imagine, with Waste sitting 4 seconds ahead of Newgarden, but now 1.6 seconds behind Yuri.
So I'm still trying to work out what Waste's game plan is, because even if he is trying to go long, it's just 2 stops. Is he going to make his stops and then hope for a safety car? Is that sort of what he's going to have to do? I don't really see what else is going to help him out. I don't know. I'm worried he's not done the right thing, but we'll see, because the issue is everyone else is probably going to end up on. I suppose they pitted early, didn't they? They got off their first set of softs so early. Maybe they'll end up going for a second fin of mediums, and then he'll be able to catch up on 2 runs on the softs. But
What? Right. What's everyone doing? Because sorry. So Quinn, we had a safety car came in 3 laps ago? I think it was lap. So Quinn has no battery left. Jess has no battery left. Rico has no battery left. Oh, Rico goes around
Rico
on the.
Goes around.
But there is still 23 laps left to go in this race, and we've got drivers running around with 10-11% battery.
Are you starting to see why Thursday's race was so bad? Because this is what happens. You use the ERS early on, and then you wait for the safety car, and there's always a chance that it just doesn't come.
Yeah. So well, the gaps at the front are starting to open up, so we are seeing a pattern of driving that we saw in Cup, where 1.6 seconds between leaders of the 2 Dutchmen of Michel Goris and Yuri. Waste now 2.4 seconds. Newgarden not really closing in too much. He's only made up 0.2 of a second on Waste in that last lap. Quinn now just about within a second window of Newgarden, but having to do it with 15% battery. So yes, he's made his way back to somewhat back towards the front, but he's absolutely obliterated any potential chance of using it to attack or defend, perhaps if he closes in on the likes of Yuri. So yeah, game plan. I mean, 8%, 7% for Quinn here. Really not really able to use it. So if I was Newgarden, I'd completely save mine, and we'll see what he's done. Yes, he's got about 40%, so I'd just save mine for now, because yes, he'll have DRS behind you, Quinn, but you can just defend with a little bit of a squirt of electrical battery every now and then.
Yeah. We'll see what they do, but it does seem a bit silly just to lose it all so early on, as Rageman goes for a moment through 3 and then another one upon recovery. And he has to wait for Matt Shepard to come through, so that does now put him to the back of the grid. Kaya does ask a good question, actually, if there's rain coming, because if there is, that might give us a bit of context to what Waste might be thinking on these hards. Maybe get to rain, but of course he still has to make a second stop. But maybe rain could play into it, because obviously, I mean, it is an overcast situation.
Yes, I'll put my ear to the ground and I'll listen out for it.
We do, in fact, have some of the drivers who are retired probably still in the chat. If you do fancy giving us a little bit of insight, it'd be interesting to know.
Quinn gets down the inside of Newgarden and takes the position. So Newgarden not really putting up too much of a fight there, much like Jess on a few laps ago. Jess not really putting up too much of a fight with Quinn coming behind, and runs slightly deep, because that's going to hurt him as he goes back on the offensive. Uses a little bit of battery, but pardon me, and I think he's realised that Quinn, well, you can see that flashing red LED, so he knows that Quinn's out of battery, and whilst he'll recover maybe like 6 or 7% around this second sector where it is a little bit slower and you can use a little bit of engine braking and perhaps just a little bit of a heavier brake into the hairpins to recover some battery, but Newgarden should be able to stay with him and potentially look at making the move. No, he hasn't. He's dropped out of a 1 second window already on the exit of this so going to the down towards Magulio and Kinkau, so it's now 1.1 seconds. So Newgarden perhaps not with the pace of Quinn, and we know that Danny's quick around here. He's won a race here previously and likes to think that he's quick against some of these guys in Kia. Can't quite do it in Cup though, can he? But he's P4, and Newgarden does get back within that second window, but Danny with that, well, just a little bit more straight line speed, I think, as we've got another yellow flag out. I think that's Rageman that's gone around again, or perhaps Marco Schneider.
I think Marco Schneider.
Yeah, one of the two.
He had a small half spin, I think.
And I didn't realise that Pete had 2 German children in Kia, as the pair of them tend to go around quite often. As Newgarden's still staying with Quinn here. He's now got back up to within 0.6 of a second, so perhaps after dropping back to that 1.1 has just decided to put the pedal down a little bit harder than it was previously. But, well, Owen, apart from this, those gaps are starting to build.
Yeah. You mentioned Pete there and didn't even say happy birthday to him.
That is true. Happy birthday, Pete Knighton.
Could you?
I know.
Happy birthday, Pete.
Yeah. As he's,
that's what happens when you get to old age, Pete, I'm afraid.
That is true. You do forget things, yes. And he's actually at a gyrosphere at the moment. He has to recalibrate his brain after every round of JACKOCAR because he spent so much time spinning.
He's not very good at it, is he?
It's like severe concussion. But as Michelle leads this one, we're halfway through the race, and Michelle leads from Yuri 3 seconds now. So Michelle's actually building that gap ever so slightly lap upon lap. Wace holding on to P3. Quinn now 1.5 seconds behind. Newgarden sticking within that 1 second wonder. So he is using the DRS to be drawn back up to Wace. So if this is the game plan for Matt Rosemond, it's not the end of the world. Although saying that, he's now down at 11% battery as well. So
yeah.
So he is using to try and stay with the driver in front, but Danny trying to close in on Wace. But as we say, this is where strategy will come into play for a number of cars and drivers, because Wace will have to make a couple of stops. And of course, we will have our second round of pit stops coming in probably around about 2 or 3 laps time.
Yeah, it depends if anyone wants to try and stretch our mediums out and then go for softs. But yeah, we'll keep an eye out for it. By the way, I forgot to mention this one earlier. Thanks to Jamie Griffiths for indeed confirming that the 1993 Argentine Grand Prix in fact didn't happen.
I did just say that off the top of my head because I knew there was a race in Buenos Aires. It was 94 or it was something like that. I don't know.
95 and 96.
There we go. Yeah, it was.
I can't actually tell you who won those races, and that's not even me looking them up. So have that.
Yeah. Well, you've clearly got some.
Do you know who won them?
No, I was probably about 5 or 6 years old.
Shocking.
I mean, if it's 95 or 96, I'm going. It would have been. Probably one of 3 or 4 drivers. So it would have been either a Schumacher in 95, possibly a Hill. I don't think it would have been, because it was 94, 95 was David Coulthard at Williams, wasn't it? Or was that?
Yeah.
Did he move to McLaren? Well, moved to McLaren at 96, didn't he?
Yeah, he moved. Yeah. It was Damon Hill.
Yeah, I did think he was. I did think it might have been.
Yeah.
I mean the. Well, that as Newgarden makes a very late call. Sorry, there's a race going on. Don't worry, guys. As he makes a very late call into the pit lane there. Comes in following Michel Gorrier, so you race leader in and out onto a brand new set of mediums. Where's he going to filter out? Because Jess is coming around the centre S's now. She's going to be out ahead of him, but Kingan is now rounding the Curva del Sol, and he's going to come out almost side by side with Michel Gorrier, so he's just a little bit further back, but he will have tyres that are up to temperature that Michel's going to have to look after. But the benefit for Michel here is that unless you really send it, that there's not really an overtaking opportunity in this second sector. But well, it is Kia's.
Full tank of
we got a yellow, and that is Rageman, I believe.
Man.
Yeah, it's gone around, and he's lost it once again. You need to take a different line through there, Robin. It's clearly not working for you as Robin Border goes around the centre S's once again. Jacko is having a bit of an anonymous race. He's just made a pit stop. He's in P10. And this is a man that wants to make it into the Championship 5. He's not going to do it if he's going to be picking up the crumbs of points down towards from 8th downwards. So Jacko needs to pick up the pace as he is now looking to make a move on or close in on Marco Schneider, who's up in P9. Of course, needs to make a stop again. Jess into the box to make her second pit stop.
Wace then sets the fastest lap, and we'll see how he gets on. Again, it'll be a set of softs, I suppose, at the end of the race for him, and if he gets a safety car, then that'll be good news. I would say Michel Goris did have some ERS. He's used about 30-40% of it just to clear himself from any pressure from Keenan, and that'll obviously help any undercutting. Although, of course, at this stage, I think it'll be well clear of Yuri and Quinn. I am wondering if those two are just sticking it out. I'm going to go for softs. It's the only chance they're going to really have of doing anything against Michel Goris.
I'd just like to actually just go back to our conversation we were having about the...
he's going in, is he? He's heading.
So, Yuri in. Quinn, what does he do, actually? Does Quinn follow Yuri in? Yes, he does. So, Quinn's going to come in. Does he get it slowed down in time? Yes, he does. And Michel Goris should quite comfortably retake the lead this one. Jamie Griffiths coming back and saying that the 1993 Argentine GP didn't happen. I'm pretty sure that Jamie Griffiths is about 9 years old. Anyway, he shouldn't know anything that's before the 2000s, let alone back in the early 90s. You can't use Google. You absolute. I can't even. Disgusting. Just cheating by using Google. You have to do it off your bad memory. That's how old age works.
I know.
You just make things up because everything's been forgotten. So you just have to make up things as you go along. It's how commentary works. Kingen holds on to P2 at the moment, but he's now got Yuri on brand new tyres, 2.5 seconds behind him. Wace equally, having made that stop, which makes that stint on the hards all the stranger.
Yeah.
Quinn
he didn't even go that far on it.
No, I don't get that one in the slightest. So Quinn P5, Newgarden 2.6 seconds now off the back of Quinn, and we have got a closest gap of 2.1 seconds, and that's between the man that hasn't stopped and the race leader. It's happening again, Owen. It's happening again.
It's happened again. It happened again. I hate this league. No, I don't hate this league. I hate this track. This track ruins league racing for everyone. Although I've noticed, you can tell I'm properly bored now. Do you remember those Fair Effect ads on Sky F1? And they were always saying that they were going to change their name. They actually did change their name, look. If you ride on board with Newgarden, look. They're called, what, Fortsec or whatever the hell that is?
Yeah.
They actually did change their name. I can't believe it. They spent a whole season advertising their name change, and then they forgot to tell us, but there it is. At turn 1 at Brazil, or turn 2 at Brazil, there they are. That's Fair Effects for you. We've still got 14 laps.
that was being advertised as long as, what was it? That was like the insurance claiming thing that went on for about 14 years as well, that you get an advert for on YouTube all the time. It was like,
yeah,
you can claim back your insurance. Yeah, okay, yeah, thanks for that. I'll remind
us what your PPI or whatever.
Yeah, PPI. Yeah, I'll set my alarm for 2027 when it finally. But lap 23 of 36 here in Brazil, when we're enduring stalemate as Kingen now makes his way in, and well, we had this at the in the Cup race last Thursday, and do you know what? I love driving around Brazil. It's such a nice track to drive around, but this is why I was saying that, first of all, you need to not have what we've had, where 4 people retire very, very early on. You also need to have 20 cars here. So regardless of what these guys in Kia think, flesh it out. Just get some scrubs in. But I put Jamie Wright here on a wheel. Put Ben Shaw with one eye closed. I don't know. Get other people in that will just mix up the order. We've seen that these races that do have perhaps we've got like 12 drivers left, as Matt Shepard now down the inside of Marcus Schneider, getting that one done as he closes in on Jacko now. But yeah, I really do hope for the next season on 23 that we go back up to having 20 in Kia, like we saw the first season of this one before. I don't get this whole second season syndrome where people just kind of get bored of the game. Like, do you know what it is? It probably is that you've got a lot of, how do I put this politely, younger competitors that race in like Kieran, that races in like 19 leagues a week, and then by the end of the second season they're like, I'm bored of the game. You're like, yeah, it's called moderation.
To be fair, I think actually with this year's game, in their defense, it's less being bored of it, more just being flat out sick of it. And if any of them find themselves, let's say, on the beta, which from what I've heard is a lot easier to drive on, driving like this literally will just be horrible. I think this is possibly a reason why Brazil's not working this season, because I know you say it's a nice place to drive, as we potentially have a safety car coming, because Michael Schneider has ruined his car, and we do get a safety car. But what I was saying about the track is that literally on this game, I've got a league race here this week, and compared to every other F1 game, I know you say it's nice to drive on. Go back onto 21 or 20 especially and drive it there, and then come back and tell me this feels good.
See, I think this is the best handling that we've ever had. I really like the handling on this game, and I really like the way the cars feel. I know that goes against the grain of what so many other people say, but I think this is dramatically nicer, which is why you've probably seen the fact that like my pace over this game cycle has got a bit better. As I actually play the game less than I ever have done before, but I think as Jacko, what are you doing? Speeding under the safety car, he gets himself a drive-through. He'll have to serve that when we go green.
Like he owns the league.
Should we? We're gonna have to strip it. Well, we're gonna have to start calling it JACKOCAR anyway.
I know you've got. But to be fair, I know you have your share, so.
That is true. They're not worth anything. He's just broke me. They're worthless now. Absolutely
every
worthless.
Penalty he gets doesn't have a 2p off.
But yeah, let's call it JACKOCAR. Let's get Michael in to run it, and
JACKOCAR is quite a good name. If you're drunk, like you go JACKOCAR.
That's just you're just chattering your teeth. But Matt Shepherd will get a free position from that, because Jacko with lap 26 to 36, so there are still plenty of racing laps left to go, and don't worry guys, there is still plenty of time for another safety car after this one, and
yippee! So there's the enthusiasm we've been looking for.
So I think the sadness is that we can't even. Usually we get your flatmate giving us the sound of the festival going on in the back, but
I know.
Yeah.
Charlie's not here. She's at work, I think. So she's not. There's no music for you this week.
Yeah, we don't even get to play the game of what's playing in the background of Owen.
I know, that's our favourite game.
We do get
to play it.
We do get the continuous beeps of someone trying to tap their way into the complex, I'd imagine. But there we go.
Oh, you do actually? Yes, you do.
Yeah,
that's a good point. Even
that comes through multiple times a lap.
I forget you don't get to hear it. Or you do get here, but since I've lived here since September, it's just become part of the background.
You must have the busiest house that I've ever heard. There's people coming and going literally every other minute.
Well, it's because it's a set of flats. There's about 1,000 people living around where I am. About the space of this 200-metre park, there's just buildings everywhere.
Do they want to race in Kia? They've got a chance. There we go. There's another one.
I could ask him. Oi, do you want to sit in the Kia series, mate?
I mean, just give them a controller and tell them that they'll probably be faster than half the guys in here anyway. So
I'm on the 7th floor. If I chuck a controller at them, I'm going to be done for murder, not even manslaughter at that point.
Intent with Blake. How much you reckon we can put this on Jacko? Is it that he caused this?
Just a rage so bad, just with his sunglasses and his stupid jacket, just told me to chuck a controller at him. Like, what's wrong with him?
Oh, hopefully you're all enjoying it, guys. I know that there's a couple of you watching. I'm sure that this one's been fun for you to enjoy. Jacko said to me, he goes, how are you feeling for this one? You must be hyped up for it. And I was like, oh, you know what? Give me a good race and I'll give you a bit of good commentary. As you can tell, it's not been a good race.
The thing is, though, we could front a decent podcast. It's almost like JACKOCAR has a podcast that's gone dormant recently.
Yeah, that's what happens when you talk to people like Iceman. Just no interest whatsoever.
Not the interesting people. We're way down the pecking order. We're far too interesting.
Exactly.
We're like the last choice when the league's seriously in trouble. Hold the guns out.
Exactly. We're just like the break glass to revive league. It's because he knows that we know the secrets. That's what it is. We know the secrets of the filming day. That there are deep dark secrets that only Ked Travitz knows, that even Jacko won't divulge to the public. But
I know. most people can't see him because the orange suit practically blinds you, and if you know, so that's our way of getting around it. And we'll only be able to tell you more about that when Jacko pulls his finger out and lets us do the podcast.
It's true. And
instead of wasting his time in the case here, he's only in 8th place with a drive-through penalty because he can't even drive at the speed limit.
the filming day is coming up, guys. So for those of you that watched last season, enjoyed the Cup Series Championship 5 pre-show, it is coming up. So we are filming in 3 weeks, I believe it is. 3 weeks. So
well, the thing is, I've made myself available for this as well. I need to talk to Jacko about it. There might be I need to get someone to give me a lift, but you might see me again.
or if I do, we know exactly what you're wearing.
I thought we changed it up again.
Oh no, I mean, I only ever want to see you in that suit, no matter in what situation, like funerals, weddings. So,
right.
Michelle Corris is going to get us restarted. Lap 28 of 36, about to turn 29. Any time from now, Michelle Corris can get the hammer down, and he goes. It's a good start. Yuri's already got Wace alongside him. Wace decides better of it. He had the overspeed, but knew that he couldn't overtake Yuri until they got to the line. He's going to go around the outside. They're on the same tyres now. Of course, Wace is slightly older, but it does mean he is on the same compounded tyre behind. Looks as though Wace is going to lose it. Is he going to keep on the inside?
Well saved.
Yeah, didn't hit the wall. No damage there for him, as Matt Shepherd now behind Kingan. Jacko served his drive-through penalty as the safety car came in, and he's now coming out. What's that going to be? A good 20 odd seconds behind. Matt Shepherd behind Kingan. He's made both of his stops. Kingan, of course, has been on a slightly different strategy to everyone else. Up at the front as well, Quinn back up with the leading pack after his spin earlier on, as we've got what's that? Rage Man and Jess side by side, as Jess, don't back out, don't back out, don't back out, don't back out.
Jess.
Go on.
It's against someone on sauce, we'll give her that one.
Yeah.
Bad news, by the way, if you're Jacko, you obviously can't take a drive-through penalty on a restart.
No.
It's just pitted him.
Yeah, I was thinking of that.
I think literally he's just gone through unless he picked up 2 drive-through penalties, he still has a drive-through penalty to take. So that's just wasted his time going through the pits there. As Wace comes through at turn 1. Wace does have to pit again though, still, doesn't he?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. As we've got almost a change of position between Kingan and Newgarden as they're battling out over 4th position. So lap 30 of 36 done, as Kingan does get up around the outside of Newgarden. That's a nice move there from Isaac, as he goes around the outside of Newgarden. That's going to open the door for Matt Shepherd. Is he going to think about the move down the inside? Thinks about it. Newgarden closes off the door. The battle for the lead is still sitting between the 3 of Michelle, Yuri and Quinn. This is going to be a game of who can reserve the most amount of battery. Danny's already down to 50%. Yuri has listened this time. He's kept it around 80%. Michelle Goris equally around 75%. So the Dutch contingent at the front of this one are holding on to it. Quinn is going to, I imagine, start using a little bit more to try and get a move down on Yuri, because he wants one back over on team speed. DRS is now enabled, so he will be able to use it on the start of this lap as they go through the Curva del Sol down the Retroposta. And what can Quinn do as he makes it around the exit of turn 3? He will have DRS. And does he use battery? No, thinks better of it. It's not quite close enough to close in, but what it has done is allowed Yuri to get within 0.4 of a second behind. Matt Shepherd has just been passed by Rageman. In fact, they're side by side. Rageman's gone around the outside, and with those brand new soft tyres, he's got the pace, but of course he's got a penalty to his name. So he's got some overtaking to do. Just think about this cautiously, because we saw what happened at the end of the Cup race with Jamie Griffiths, who just decided to go full psycho and attack Bazza physically into some of these corners on his restart, desperately trying to keep himself in the playoffs.
So, in a slight reversal to what we've seen before, Michelle Goris has used a little bit more ERS than Yuri. So in the next 5 laps, I say that Yuri's now going to equal himself out with him potentially, but in the next 5 laps, Yuri will have a little bit of a high ground here, and we know he's got the pace to win. It's whether Michelle Goris can hang on. There's going to be no bases to crash into this time, unlike last week, obviously, where he was on his Joker. It was all going to plan, and he was looking to get a Joker victory in Imola, and crashed into a retired car, which obviously doesn't ghost, and it was Baza on the racing line. He'll be hoping that it goes a bit more smoothly, but when you've got Yuri right behind you, I don't think you're going to have an easy time.
As Robin Border gets down the inside of Matt Shepherd and gets the move done. He's very, very lucky indeed. He started to turn in for turn one with both right side tyres on the grass, and the car almost went around, but got out of the throttle very quickly and managed to put it back onto the black stuff. You can't really turn these cars if you're running on the grass. It just doesn't let you do it without really unbalancing and unsettling the car. Back up to the front, however, as you were talking about, Quinn 0.6 of a second behind Yuri. Yuri 0.8 of a second behind Michelle. They've broken away from Kingen. However, Kingen is slowly catching up. He was 2.5 seconds back. It's now down to 1.6 seconds. So he is trying to make his way up. Of course, Kingen, former race winner here. Lap 33 of 36. So 35. Oh, yes, go on.
I have a feeling that what Michelle Goris is trying to do there was use enough ERS to break the DRS, but I think Yuri just about stayed in on that main straight, and Michelle Goris now has half of the ERS that Yuri does. I think that was maybe too big a risk to take, and I don't think it's worked out the way Michelle will be expecting it to. I think he'll be kicking himself at the end of this race if that extra usage of ERS, which was slightly not needed, ends up leaving him enough to defend with.
Yeah, and Quinn's now down at 30%, so he's using to stay with Yuri. It does look as though that Danny might have a slightly slipperier setup in comparison to some of the other guys, because he is very quick on the straights. But we'll see if Quinn can make a move, because Yuri does have the power to defend if he so wishes. Robin Border now trying to close in on Rageman, on Newgarden, sorry. So Rageman on Newgarden, will it get it done? It's down at 20% battery for him as well. So everyone really low now on power as Yuri closes back in, as they're just trading sector for sector at the moment. No one really going on the offensive. 3 laps left to go in this one.
Well, the thing is, Yuri, where do you even make the move? Because we saw this in the Cup Series last week, where literally it did come down to the move on the lap at turn 4, not turn 1. You're almost going to actually have to close right up at turn 1, but then deal with the dirty air through 1, 2 and 3, and then pull it off into 4. That's why I'm worried about Michelle Goris' ERS, because he's only going to have one straight where he can realistically use it, and if he doesn't realise that Yuri might pass him at 4 and uses it all the way down to 1, he will be a sitting duck. If he does realise that that might be the better option, maybe he'll have a chance. But it depends on what Yuri's tactics are. Obviously, I'm not inside his head, but I'm sure he'll have some sort of idea of what he wants to do, because you want to pass at the last possible moment so you give your rival no chance to fight back, obviously. But yeah, when does he do that? Because he's not even using any ERS up the hill, and Michelle Goris is near emptied it now, and now he uses it, so he's going to close up a little bit more on this penultimate lap, is Yuri, and that's because Quinn has just burnt his whole tank to keep up. So they're all going to be line astern at the start of this last lap. It depends on whether Quinn can try and invalidate Yuri's advantage by fighting him, but it makes no sense for him to do that. Save it all for the final lap, I think.
Yeah, unfortunately for Quinn, it looks as though he actually had a much nicer run than Yuri up the hill, but just had no battery to use, so got to the DRS, and as soon as the DRS opened, Yuri's able to defend. So this is going to go to the last lap. Kingan's not able to get himself in. He's dropped back down around about 6 or 7 tenths to 2.1 seconds back. Yuri haven't made up 3 positions over this. Newgarden's made up 9, but he's got a 3-second time penalty, so he will lose out to at least Matt Shepherd, if not to Wace as well, and drop down a couple of positions. But well, this is all about punching your name and your ticket to the next round or the playoffs if you take the victory in this race. And will it be Michelle Goris? Will it be Yuri? Will it be Danny Quinn? The 3 of them will start and contest this final lap. Quinn's on the button, 6.5. He's got no battery to attack here. He's trying to go now. He's down to absolute 0. And as soon as you get under 10%, it's almost like a negative effect. It almost holds the car back a little bit. But Well, you can see all three of them with the red LEDs having flashed at some point, as Yuri has got 40% to go, so he can easily go on the attack here. So is he going to make the move down into turn 4?
He's refusing to pass him. Wonder
Cool.
why that is, because I know he's already advanced, is Yuri, but I don't actually see what he gains by not winning the race, frankly. You might as well win the race. It's not like Michel Goris isn't going to get through as well. He's second in the championship, and he'll easily advance after this anyway as well. You know what I mean?
He is
you
also
might as well take the win.
He is also Team Speed, so this could be one advanced member of Team Speed helping a non-advanced member of Team Speed,
I suppose,
with a former member of Team Speed desperately wanting to beat the two members of Team Speed. So I'd imagine Yuri is just going to shield off any potential threats, but around Hinkal for the final time, up the hill through turn 13 and 14.
Hold on.
He's
going to get him. Hold on, is he going to go for it? Here he comes. Oh,
lovely. We love to see that.
Lovely. That's going to be a steward's investigation.
No, bump and run. You can.
Nah.
No.
Push him completely off the road.
If you're allowed to bump and run on the final lap, there's no such thing as a block.
Fair enough.
Yep, I'm completely okay with that. Michelle wins the race. Yuri in P2, Quinn P3, King and Rageman recovers back to P5, Matt Shepard P6, Waze up P7, Newgard and Jess, Rico, and gosh, this is embarrassing, isn't it? Jacko hasn't even finished the race yet.
I mean, looking at that block, but I'm sure Yuri might have something to say about it, but I mean, they are teammates, aren't they? So, and they're both advanced.
They're both advanced, who cares?
Being disqualified from the race, by the way, is going to be worse, because he didn't make another stop. He made that safety car stop for the hards, we saw that, but he only made one more stop after that for the mediums.
Yeah, definite Jacko VAR there, so check in on Twitter. I'm sure it'll be announced by Mr. OKK or Mr. Shaw.
Is it black flag or 30 seconds for that?
I think it's a black flag for not, but yeah, because Ben was disqualified this season for not making his 2 mandatories, wasn't he? So yes, that might be the case. So we'll find out as soon as possible, and we'll bring it to you next week for any potential changes in the standings and in the points, of course. But thus ending another race around Brazil that I'm sure was quite interesting to drive, but not much happened in the case of our side of it. But hopefully you all enjoyed it. It's Michel Goris, however, that takes the race win in 48 minutes and 22 seconds there, ahead of Yuri with the fastest lap of 110.216. Quinn in P3 with King and P4 Rageman, and then we go Matt Shepard, Waste and Newgard and Jess and Rico are your top 10. Jacko, the last finisher, in 11th position after that drive-through penalty. And unfortunately,
that was quick. Waste has been disqualified.
There we go. We can confirm it for you.
That was very quick.
So that does promote up Newgard and Jess was Rico and Jacko up into P10. I'm sure we'll be delighted with that as he moves up a position into not even single digits. We lost Marcus Schneider, we lost Harry Collio, and on the first lap, on the first few corners, we lost Matt Lester, Thomas Never, and Bazza. So that ends the first round of the playoffs. So next week we will go into our first of 2 knockout rounds. We go to Austria next week.
Hopefully that'll be good. Sounds like it should be good. So did Brazil once upon a time.
Yeah,
I mean, stop being so negative.
Yeah. I mean, there's a couple of good races. Austria, Bahrain, and Britain. I mean, that's a banging trio of tracks that I do enjoy. I mean, Yuri's going to win next week by 3 or 4 minutes because, I mean, he almost won Cup and has won Cup before around Austria. Bahrain's an excellent track, and Britain would be my home if Kaya didn't ruin it for me. But yeah, well, do you know what, Owen? Here comes the best part of our week. Driver of the day.
I completely forgot again. I saw they weren't very happy that we only picked 3 last week.
I know. I even said to them, I said, even if I only have to pick one, I will pick one.
Yeah, that must have been right offensive. That it must be started thinking, "Geez, they were even that bad." Right, let's try and think about this. This is me taking control, but I actually don't know who to pick. I mean, Michelle Goris is one from Paul. That's pretty good. I hate being boring and picking the top two, but how do you not pick the top two?
I know.
Especially since Yuri had, without the questionable block, right at the finish line, Yuri had pretty much nailed that and was going to win the race. So, I feel like they both did their jobs perfectly, but they are also both top two in the championship. I think... So I'm just listing everyone off now. Matt Shepard, I think... Was he the highest finisher of the... Oh no, Isaac was the highest finisher of the chase driver, so you could give him a shout out as well in fourth. But yeah, that's free anyway. We can talk about.
So you're going with. So we make a collective decision that we'll go with Kingan, Yuri, and Michelle Goris.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm happy. I'm happy to.
Can...
I mean, I was the only other person. I mean,
Rage Shepard in as well, if you want.
Well, I would have said possibly Rage Man after the spin to recover back, but I think that mostly was a late safety car kind of helped that out because that wasn't on the that was me getting a podium rather than it was S-housing your way to a decent result. But no, we'll stick with the three. We'll go with Yuri, we'll go with Michelle, and we'll go with King. And so go over to @JACKOCAR2, that's number 2 on Twitter, where you can vote that. That'll be live until probably around about 10 o'clock this evening. Of course, you can subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't already. Trust me, it gets much better than this. There's better commentary on a Thursday. Well, sometimes there's better commentary on a Thursday.
Yeah, sometimes.
But of course, if you have enjoyed it, make sure you like the video and tune in on Thursday for the Cup Series, where they will be going to an it's not an elimination race. It's not. It's the first of the next round. It is Saudi Arabia this week. So, even though I'm almost safe from elimination, probably will be eliminated this week because I vehemently hate this circuit and will probably end up driving straight through one of the concrete walls straight to Mexico. So thanks for joining us, everyone. Thanks for joining us, Owen, once again. Hopefully we haven't kept you busy from your just wild and action-filled life up there, and you've enjoyed it once again. But Keir will be back next week. We did.
I'm going to go watch the 1993 Argentine Grand Prix after this, I think.
Did you know that Speed Gareth 89 won it?
Oh, really? Wow.
But make sure you do join us next Tuesday. Trust me, it will get better. We'll be at the Austrian Grand Prix for the second round of the playoffs. Join us on Thursday for the Cup Series with Jacko and Owen, most likely in the commentary box. If not, we'll see you next week. Have a good one. We'll see you soon.